Hello and welcome back to Electrifying Vids. Today I will show you how to customize the ASCII art for fastfetch. You only need two things, the ASCII art you desire and fastfetch installed on your Linux distribution. The general process is simple. First, we will configure our ASCII art to appear as desired on fastfetch, and once the desired look is achieved, we will modify the fastfetch configuration file so that running fastfetch by itself will give our logo. Let's start off with a little bit of ASCII art theory. So first off, you're going to need your ASCII art. You can get that from the internet or make it yourself. I have here a light bulb or the sun from the computer game One Shot. I used a PNG reference to make this monochrome ASCII art of the sun. For a dark background, characters that take up more blank space, such as the @ symbol, will appear brighter, while characters that take up less space, such as the / symbol, will appear as darker. The opposite is true for brighter backgrounds. I use this theory to manually create my ASCII art by hand, referencing each individual pixel. You can also use generators to make ASCII graphics automatically, but personally I find those have inferior quality than those done by hand. Something to remember is that for most monospace fonts that one would use for the terminal have a 1:2 aspect ratio. This means that for a square, one character will take up half the space in a square, and two characters consecutive will take up the whole square and nothing more. So this means that for a single 1x1 pixel equivalent for ASCII, you will need two characters. If I show you this sun art, you'll see that it's horizontally squished, because what it did was each character represents one single pixel. But remember, one single pixel is half a pixel horizontally widthwise. So what I would need to do is I would need to double the number of characters per row to achieve something that is not squished. Most of the time, your art will be monochrome. We will look at adding color later, but for now, let's focus on getting this to show up on fastfetch in the first place. So what you're going to need to do is get the file path for your ASCII art.txt file. Whether it be on your desktop or in your downloads folder, just have the file path. For example, the file path for my art is tilde/desktop/themonosun.txt. What you're going to need to do is type the .l extension after fastfetch, and then add a space, and then type the file path for your ASCII art. Then press enter and you have your ASCII art. However, as you can see, the art is monochrome. If this is your desired result though, then you can skip this section. Otherwise, keep watching. Fastfetch uses a system of $sign tokens to assign colors to ASCII characters. The user will need to specify a legend that tells fastfetch which token corresponds to which color. Fastfetch defines color tokens as a $sign followed by a single-digit number. For example, if the user specifies that 2 is the token for yellow in the legend, then in the ASCII art file, that being your .txt file, fastfetch will assign the color yellow to every character that follows after the $2 token until another color token is hit. Fastfetch allows color indexes of 1 to 9. You may only have a maximum of 9 colors in your color legend, so that means $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, and $9, not $0 or $10. $0 is an invalid index, and $10 will be interpreted as assign color 1 to ASCII character 0. So if color 1 is yellow, then the 0 in $10 will appear as yellow, where the $1 is taken as the color token. For color assigning, you may assign standard colors such as blue, green, yellow, magenta, white, and so on. However, for more specific colors, you have to pull the RGB values of your reference work or create them yourself. I used Krita to do that, and once I get my RGB values, I simply put it into this thing here instead of writing yellow. I write 38, semicolon, 2, semicolon, and then my RGB value follows. I'm not too sure what 38 and 2 does, but it appears to work, so I just use that. Now, with an understanding of the color token system, you'll now have to manually color your ASCII art. I do not know of an automated method to this yet, so for now, manually typing the color token seems to be the only option. Finally, for the logo to show up by default by running fastfetch without extensions, create the configuration file using fastfetch -gen-config if you haven't already. Then use Vim, Nano, Mousepad, or some other text editor to paste this bit of instructions between the rows with schema and modules. Or you can download my .jsonc configuration file from the description and use that for yourself. And then, of course, modifying a couple things. Make sure you update the path to your .file text appropriately, and make sure you update the legend so that it correlates with yours. Now, congrats, you have a custom ASCII art for fastfetch.